afraid to speak the truth. And the more afraid we get, the more we hate the ones who do. You're ashamed to be American? Okay, that's cool. Cause honestly, we are all ashamed of you too.
Y'all are so fake. Oh no. The forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa. You can make us see it your way. No way. Gasoline and propane. More flames. Oh no. No more snowflakes.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Filthy Truth. This is our Monday pre-recorded edition. So I want to put a huge shout out to, of course, everybody who's helping us stream this platform. We are streaming on Primetime Patriots, Take Action Canada, Winnipeg Alternative Media, and YouTube. So thank you to all of those guys for the big support. We want to thank, of course, Tom McDonald for Snowflakes and allowing us to use that song. It's very, very appropriate for what's going on in the world today. And of course, a huge shout out to my producer, Alex, and of course, everything that he does for us. If you guys are interested in helping out the show, you can head over to filthytruth.ca, and any donation goes right back into the platform, into expanding it, into making it bigger, into getting it into more views, so that we can kind of pump it up and get the word out there. Of course, a huge shout out to Resistance Coffee. If you go to resistancecoffee.com/filthy truth, that is going to, you guys are going to be able to not only get great tasting coffee, but you guys are going to be able to help support an amazing, just an amazing platform on everything that they do. So they're there to help with the truth. And of course they have some amazing merch that you guys can also get there as well. So I'm not going to wait too long to get this guy on air, because I want to utilize as much time as I can, because I know he's a busy guy. We were just talking real quick on before we hopped on, and his phone's like ringing off the hook. He wants to throw it today. He's having a day with it. But we definitely want to get this going right away. So I'm going to introduce to you Jeremy McKenzie. You might know him as the Raging Dissident. Welcome to the show.
How are you? What's going on? Yeah, the phone is it's an evil thing. It's gotten really, it eventually gets to a point where it just becomes, more harm than good. The Tom McDonald's cool. I like that. Did you guys get a hold of him?
Yeah, we got a hold of him literally right after Christmas. I had been after him for probably about a week, and he got back to me pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, if you use any song you want, you have my permission to use whatever." So it was between that one and Woke, and I was like, "Which one do I want?"
He's got some good ones. Yeah. I've liked him for a few years ago. I remember he was on YouTube. He had 170,000 followers, something like that. It wasn't a big, you know what I mean? But I knew him before he was famous. It was. I liked him back then, and I'm a fan. The only complaint I have is Tom, buddy. Like you're Canadian. Give us help out here. He's all big on the American, stuff that's going on down there. But it's like, I don't know if he knows that his home has become. I think he's from Edmonton. I think is Edmonton area. I understand, but it's a nightmare up here, buddy. So if you could, toss us a bone, that would be much appreciated. Otherwise, I love what he's doing. I think he's great.
Oh yeah, I think his message is great. I think I really started to see. I had heard of him before, and then I saw this thing that was kind of going viral on TikTok, where it was him and he was talking to the camera and kind of like how the camera was controlling everything he was supposed to say, and he kept fighting against the narrative. And I was like, oh, I've got to dig more to this guy, because I had heard about him, but I had never seen too much of his stuff until I really started to dive in. And he's amazing. I love that guy.
Yeah, well, he's all on his own. He writes all his own, produces everything. Like he doesn't have any. And he does everything himself, and his old lady there shoots all the videos and stuff. So I think I like seeing that. I like people that I did all this myself, pretty much on his own back, right? And that's pretty cool. So
I saw, because he was saying on his Instagram, he was saying that he records, and he was supposed to take Christmas off, but he recorded a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, I'm like, where do you find the energy? Mind you, he's still yet pretty young. So
well, I think we're about the same. He's probably my age. I think he's probably mid-30s as well. So he's just getting at it. So
he's getting at it. Well, I mean, and we need guys like that. We need more of those musicians. Have you had many musicians come on your show and kind of chat?
I don't really. Sometimes it's just hard to really. I do the 3 times a week. I do my own podcast it's about 9 to 12 hours, in total a week. And then I try to do a few other days where I used to have, just like this, you know what I mean, on my end, but I haven't done it as much lately. Musicians know I had a lot of old buddies from the military. I've had on there some guys from overseas, and some other like Devin Larratt had on there one time, and some other guys that are more well known in the military community, I guess, in Canada, but some other personalities in the anti-clown world dimension, I guess, and not too many musicians though. I know some. I know Greg Arcade's a friend of mine. He's a musician, an excellent one. He's in the Winnipeg area. And Greg Wycliffe, I know. I've actually had him on. He's a comedian if you ask him, but he's got some music as well. He's not bad.
Yeah, he's got some good chops, and he's really smart politically. I had him on my show too a little while ago, and just like he's got like some smarts about him. That guy,
great dude. Yeah,
big fan. He's a good guy. So, how did you get involved in this? So you I kind of went through your whole YouTube and and saw that this was. Hey, that's part of my job. I got to make sure that I research. But I kind of saw that you started about 7-8 months ago posting on YouTube, where you started kind of doing your shows.
So I started probably 3 years ago, I'd say.
Okay.
3 or 4. And I'm on like YouTube channel 4 now, I think.
Oh, okay. So they keep banning them.
Yeah. And so they kept doing that, and they got my main one. The first one I had that I held on to it for a while, but I had posted a video. It was in a shorter stream I did, an hour and a half, and it was about something Robert Strang was talking about, the top doctor. I didn't realize that there was a hierarchy of doctors. There's apparently a pyramid. I think they kill each other, and then the one that wins that's the top doc. I don't know how it works exactly. Maybe some kind of Klingon battle academy they've got going on, but he's the top of all the doctors. Anyway, he was describing how the flu no longer exists. It's mysterious, but it doesn't, because there's no cases of the flu anymore. And I was like,
no, it's all gone.
You're almost there, buddy. Come on. And I just played him saying these things, and they deleted my whole channel for medical misinformation without a word. Just that's it. It was like, it was him. He was the one that said it, not me. But,
holy.
Yeah.
So you know what? They give you slaps on the wrist too when you read stuff right from like CTV News or right from CBC. They're like, oh, it's medical misinformation. I'm like, it's your mainstream media giving this to you, and you're
they're the ones that said it. I'm banned from Twitter for life. I've been banned from DLive. I've been banned from you name it. I've been kicked off of it eventually, or I'm trying to be like cockroaches and be hard to destroy. YouTube, I just cycle through as one channel gets a strike, I move to the next one, and then when that one I go to the next, and I just keep going around in circles.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, at this point, I think that's kind of what we all have to do, right? We're all kind of running around like cockroaches. I mean, True is kind of treating them us like them anyways. So, but how did you get involved?
Makes me work harder. Just makes me work harder, because I used to just have the one YouTube channel, and they kept screwing with me. So now I'm in like 17 million places now. So
yeah, you were saying you're on Telegram as well. Do you have do you have a page for Telegram?
Yeah, t.me/Raging Dissident is a Telegram page. It's all on my website, ragingdissident.com. Has links to everything that I've all the podcasts, like it's on Spotify and Podbean and Apple and all these places, and Entropy Stream, where I do them live, and there's a Twitch connection, and there's YouTube, and there's Rumble, and there's it's
just it's ongoing, right?
You gotta have the .com now, or else
you read it. You really do. The .com, the .orgs, the .lives, the .this, the You literally need
the central location.
Yeah. So you got started in this 3 years ago. What was the indication for you that this wasn't what it was supposed to be about, which was a virus?
Well, even before that, I was onto the I'm not sure the government has our best interests at heart anymore kind of train, probably about 7 years ago. 6, 7. And I started kind of just posting out of like a blog for a little while and this kind of stuff, and posted some YouTube videos here and there, and kind of slowly shaped this into what it is now. It wasn't always doing like live streams or anything. And then I started to, and it's just more, I feel more at home doing this, I suppose. And I like doing the old, the polished video kind of thing, but it takes weeks, and, for the bang for your buck you get out of it's tough. So, and I'll leave that to the like, I'm not as good at it as a lot of other people, so I just let them do it.
Oh, no, I hear you. I'm way easier at the live stuff. I take the live stuff, I copy the audio, and I throw it on my Spotify. Way easier. I don't have to do any more work than that. Yeah. So some of the questions or some of the guests that you had on, and some of the videos that I had seen, especially the one that was called Fake Canadians. Now, I had mentioned it before. And like you, we do a lot of videos. So sometimes we do kind of lose which video was what, but
I'm going to try and find that.
Yeah, that video in particular, my friend had shared it to me. My friend's a huge fan of yours, by the way. So Bonnie, hello, Bonnie. I'm just going to give her a shout out. And so she was a huge fan. She is a huge fan of you. And she was saying that, like, she was like, you need to watch it again and again and again and make sure that this is kind of what you guys are putting out there. Because you talked about what were these Canadians supposed to do when they lost their jobs? If it was between medical forced vaccinations or your livelihood, what are they supposed to do? So where you're at, it's New Brunswick, right? I believe.
I'm in Nova Scotia right now.
Nova Scotia, sorry.
Yeah, I'm a prolific traveler, though. I could be anywhere at any time.
You could be anywhere.
Never know.
In Nova Scotia, what's the current restrictions like? What's it looking like where you're at?
If you go outside, you're shot on sight immediately. They'll just kill you at nighttime. During the day, there's nets flown by drones that try to catch people. No, it's not good. It's one of the tighter ones in the country. There's literally, you have to ask the government permission to come here. You have to go to the website and fill out some forms, and then they ask for your papers, please, at the border. There's a checkpoint, and they follow, they want to know where you're going to be and who's going to stay there and who else is living there and how long, and they're going to send officers to your house to check up on you to make sure you're isolating and all of this. Same in PEI, I think, is worse. But this one's pretty intense about it. And it's real interesting because I've been, it's funny talking to people here too, because they're like, they're in a bubble. They've never left the province, and it's like, I've been all over the country the last couple of years. And no, it varies wildly depending on where you're at.
Oh, for sure.
Or even on the continent. I mean, you say, let's take Florida, for example, or Texas, compared to the entire nation state of Canada, which apparently is operating as if these places just don't exist.
Yeah,
no restrictions, no anything for well over a year and a half now. And they're like,
Well, we're in Mazatlan for the winter, and we escaped before all the 4 shots that were before you couldn't leave. So we left. Actually, we've been out of the country since October.
Yeah, you literally cannot leave. I'm not allowed to leave the country.
No, it's mind blowing. It's ridiculous, but yeah, and it's so free over here, and everything's just super chill. Everybody's like kind of doing their things. The masks is kind of like the biggest. Like that's the only way that there's anything going on is people are wearing masks.
And that's why I think they do it. That's a psychological reminder to keep playing make believe.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
Nothing.
No, they don't. They really don't. And in Manitoba, they just started forcing people to wear the N95s because they figured that the cloth masks were no longer doing anything. Yeah, that's where I'm from originally.
That's the problem, right? Because everything seems to be, according to them, it's getting worse. More cases, more hospitals. So it's the mask problem. That's what it is. That must be what it is. Despite numerous, countless studies saying how they do absolutely nothing. It's completely pointless and stops nothing. It's like, what did one doctor say? It was like shooting a cannon full of marbles at like scaffolding. It's like some of them might hit the poles and bounce off, but the vast majority of these are going straight through. It's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, because they said like the holes in the masks are like so big, and then the if the virus was actually going to go through there, it's so much smaller that it would catch nothing in and out of it.
I can't remember the sizes, what they said, the microgram, whatever the size of the particles are so much smaller than the mask would. It's would deny. I'm trying to scramble my brain from military terminology again. Deny access to. You know what I mean? It's only going to block this. It's too small. It doesn't make any difference anyway. So, but we just keep doing it because let's face it, there's lots of money in masks, lots of money in sanitizer, and somebody's getting rich somewhere. When you got a situation like that, it's hard to make that stop.
So what are your thoughts on Justin Trudeau's hate speeches? And it's like I feel like it's compounding more and more. It's almost like every other day he's got some kind of hate speech going on.
I expected this. I've been, saying this for a couple of years. Since we you can kind of see where this is going, and where it's almost like there's a timetable or something. It's not just him either. It's the rhetoric is increasing everywhere with all of these people. I feel like they have maybe goals or markers where like once this percentage of the population, once we get it to this, and once we get it to here, like they're going to start increasing. They've got like high water marks or whatever you want to checkpoints or something. Like, so for example, now they're talking about the taxes, right? We'll just tax everybody. We'll just fine them if they're not vaccinated. So that's another move that if you held out this long, that might break you. It's going to break some people, and they're going to and lo and behold, there's thousands of people signing up for vaccines in Quebec now that until right now didn't do it. And it's not because, they all of a sudden were like, oh, well, now I believe in all of this. They were straight up blackmailed. Like, we'll just starve you out. We'll just starve you if you don't. So it's like comply or we'll hurt you. And that's what they did. Like the Quebec government's completely insane. It's criminal. It's immoral. There's no, and the fact that the prime minister agrees with, we're going to look into it. That's a great idea. He should be in handcuffs.
Do you think that, that was a question that I had heard the other day. Do you think that his hate speech, when he said that something needs to be done with the unvaccinated, do you think that that was kind of the green card to go ahead with that?
I've said that for well over a year and a half. Anybody that follows me knows I've been saying the whole time, is like, soon you're going to hear them say something's going to have to be done. We're going to have to do something about this. Like the turn, it'll shift to this dark kind of, and that's exactly what's happened. And the point of that is not for, Justin Trudeau they know exactly what they're likely going to do. It's not, I wonder what we're going to have to do. He wants the public to start thinking about this, and he wants to engage their brains into shifting it into more of a hateful, aggressive, yeah, we do got to do something about these people. Yeah, what should we do? They'll grease this along for a few more weeks and months, and then they're going to start providing, well, maybe we've got a solution. Maybe we arrest them. Maybe we don't let them go here, go there. Maybe they don't get food. They're deliberately trying to stoke the fire here and make this a thing.
Do you think that the concentration camps are far away? Or sorry, let me rephrase that: the COVID camps away.
The safety camps for safety. Well, they have them in Australia. Who knows what's going on there? There was a contract solicited by the government of Canada a couple of years ago. Randy Hillier talked about this. You go on buyandSell.gc, or what is it? buyandSell.gc.ca, and it's open contracts for, hey, the government, we need people to do this or that. If you can apply here, and one of them was for camps all over the multiple places for all over the country. And he was like, what, can you explain this? And they just laughed him out of the building. So I assume that's probably being done. And the amount of money they've given away and spent, we're $9 trillion in debt now, is absolutely insane. I was talking to some business owners in Nova Scotia, and they're like, we're all getting absolutely crushed. There's a lot of tourism based businesses in Nova Scotia, but there's a couple that are owned by real rich people, like golf courses and this kind of thing. They got $14 million in help, but these small business owners didn't get anything. They got, in fact, they got taxes increased, and fines and this and that, and it's clearly one-sided. And it's like, well, you've got all this money to throw around for all of the various causes and things you have, but you can't build new hospitals, you can't hire and train more healthcare personnel, you can't get more doctors, but you can build prisons. I mean, the way the decisions you're making are showing me your hand quite, pretty obviously, and it's not a benevolent one. You're not trying to help anybody. You're just totally fixated on do this or else, or we'll hurt you. That's the entire, and it seems as though that's the government's the only thing it cares about anymore. It's basically the first and last and only priority. Everything else revolves around how many people can we get vaccinated? How do we vaccinate more of them? How do we get the people that won't get it to get more, to get them? And how do we get the people that have already taken them to take even more of them? It's like living in a cult. It's really insane.
It's literally the hamster wheel of the loop. So now, like, we have like Flurona, we have the other one, Deltacron. Yeah,
I said that as a joke a month or two ago, because when they had Omicron, I was like, watch out now, they're going to combine like the Power Rangers to form the Deltacron, the bigger, and that's exactly what. And they say it with a straight face, like we're retarded.
I know
we don't know, like do we not know? Like, so for example, there was someone else. Mom and dad's got 2 shots, mom's got 3, kids have none. Kids are all fine, dad's pretty sick, mom's really sick. And the way they justify this is, well, the mom goes outside the most, and that's where it is. The COVID is just outside, and that's where you get it, like radiation exposure. You just get more radiation, and then you come home. That's why she's the most sick. And the father, he goes to the grocery store sometimes, we got a little bit, and the kids don't go. It's like, that's not how germ theory and germs.
Like, do we not remember science?
Nope, they don't. They just straight. It's like, shouldn't you not also be infecting your children? Like, no, that's not how it works. It's just whoever goes. They've completely abandoned logic and reason, and it's all gone. It's been completely. It's scary. It's really crazy to see this many insane people in one place.
So what's your thoughts on that? Because like, I used to think that Canadians were people, even not just Canadians, let's just go with people, the civilization. We're in 2021, and we're literally living in a civilization that is so fucking dumbed down that they're so oblivious to the easiest truths that are out there. Like, what do you think has happened to these people?
I think the problem is that we've got too many soft people, right? We've last couple of generations, like, we haven't had to fight a war since World War II, Korea, really. I mean, there was Afghanistan, but it didn't affect anybody. Most people grow up and live in a world of, paraphrase Joe Rogan one time, soft edges and rounded corners, right? There's no there's no real threats. Everything is taken care of for you. Life is pretty easy. We're all just fat and happy and lazy. And, it's too easy to just sit on your couch and live in a fantasy world on your television. And also by that same token, it's easy to pretend or lie to yourself that bad people don't exist and bad things don't happen, and because it's never happened here, and so that means it will never happen. And it's like trying to, maybe that's the reason, maybe that's part of it. I think it's a lot of fear, because the main reason why people won't accept this or think about it, because even to entertain this is like what we're saying is potentially correct, for them to sit there and go, what if that's right? That's scary to them, because if that is true, then now I have to make all kinds of decisions, and I have to now accept the fact that the world is not what I thought it was, and this means they're lying, and this is wrong. Oh my God, like, it's too scary. So they just would rather not even look at it at all. And it's like that meme, right? You're the conspiracy theorist, the person that spent all this time doing all this research and learning about all these things and talking to people and watching these presentations and reading through these these documents and so on, and then to be told that you don't know what you're talking about by a person that sits around and watches TV all day. It's it's hilarious. But
yeah, I had a scientist on the other day, and he was literally saying, he's like, the other side, they show Twitter shots of doctors that are like from the government saying, well, look, this is our science. And it's like, we have doctors like Dr. Malone, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Paul Alexander, and they're all like, we have, no, that's it's not right, even science.
Yeah, and they act like it's a monolith and everyone knows this except you, and you're a crazy person. It's like, well, there's lots of science that gets thrown out all the time. The fact that you can't question science means it's not science. That's what science is. You ask questions and you keep testing and trying to, eventually you get to the truth. And if you're not allowed to question it at all, that's not science. That's a cult. That's dogma. That's like a religion, which is what this is. Like, what about the science that the Nazis were up to? Like, well, scientifically, this is the head and shape of an Aryan man, and that's our top tier preferred citizen. And unfortunately, your cranium doesn't meet the specifications. This is the science. Sorry. So you're a Untermensch subhuman. So you're going to be banished to the Far East, kind of a thing. That was science. Or you're not allowed to. You know what I mean? Like the fact that this is impossible. That are you saying all these scientists that the government pays are you saying they're all wrong? Yes, I am. Just like the one they were wrong about. Oh, the Earth is flat, you see, and we're gonna, right? They burned all those people. Then there was the witch hunt, and there's so many examples of just mass psychosis, which I thought was funny. That was it Malone or somebody that brought that up, and then it blew up on Google Trends, and Google tried to censor it. It's like, it's not a thing. There's no such thing as mass psychosis. Yes, there is. It's littered. A big problem is people don't read history. I was talking about this last night. Sorry, I'm just ranting. Cut me off.
No, absolutely.
But they don't know. And I'm flabbergasted by people that just get up and just rub their eyes and then just go. Like they have no idea what's going on. Like when you see something troubling happen, right? Like something strange, like 9/11, anything, something happens. And there's people that look at it and they just, like cows, just and then they just go on, like they don't care. They don't ask any questions. Like someone's like, oh, this is what went on. Like, all right, fair enough. They think they know, but they don't know. To know, it's like, I don't, like I know generally how a helicopter works, but I could not build you one. I couldn't, because I don't really know. And it could turn out that the things I think are true are completely wrong, because I never bothered to look into that. So I would just defer to the helicopter experts. So it's crazy to me that people can think that they understand what's going on in the world with having a zero understanding of history whatsoever. They just got up and they're like, you're not curious?
And zero questioning, like anything. Right. Like how does if you're talking 9/11, how does a whole tower fall down like an implosion from a plane hitting the top?
Never mind that. One that was nothing hit it at all, just fell down.
It just magically.
Most people
down.
would say that didn't happen. And I was saying there's a clip of something that happened that day. There was a bunch of guys got arrested in a van, and anyway, they were the hell they call the Kurzberg brothers. They're Israeli Mossad agents. I saw it on TV. I saw it happen. I was sure of it. And then it got memory hold. It was never spoken of again. For 10 years, I started to believe, did I dream that? I must have, maybe not. And then I saw it in a documentary, like not long out, like years and years later. And I was like, I knew it. I got up out of my chair. I was like, I knew it. Those sons of bitches. I knew I saw that. And so they can erase things, man. And then you don't got to hide it from everybody. You just got to get most of them. And I feel like they know the math and the there's probably a formula where it's like X, plus Y equals whatever. It's like, as long as we get 75% of the people that buy this shit, it really doesn't matter, because the other ones, we can contain them. And that's what they do. And they just bold-faced lie. And it's like that Alexander Solzhenitsyn quote I love so much because it's so true, from the Gulag Archipelago when the Soviets were basically doing now what our current governments are lining up to be, was, they're lying. We know they're lying, and they know they're lying, and we know that they know that they're lying, and they know that we know that they know that we're like, everybody know, but yet they still are lying. It's ridiculous. Everyone knows this is nonsense, but yet we're still, it's mind-boggling. And that was 1950. You know what I mean? Like, people are always the same. And that's why, read history book, because if you want to know what's going on, read history, because the same people do the same things over and over again. You can get a real good sense for, patterns and, behavioral types and character type, and the way why people do the things they do. The kind of stuff Justin Trudeau says, it's not new.
No, nothing's new. If you actually watch, like, Netflix kind of did everybody a favor. They actually had How to Become a Tyrant on their show.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see that? Oh, I didn't see that
if
you watch it, you literally hear. So the first episode they have, of course, is Hitler, because I mean, he's kind of the biggest villain in history. And then they talk about Stalin, and then they talk about Saddam Hussein and stuff like that. But if you actually watch what they say and how they did it, I mean, you can compare every little note for almost like exact timing with what's going on right now. And yet people are like, how dare you compare this to the Holocaust? And how dare you?
Well, because they're simpletons, right? Like they'll be like, they're comparing it to the Holocaust. Like, I'm not saying that saying show me your vaccine papers is the same as lining up people against the wall and shooting them. What we're saying is the pattern of behavior and the exclusionary practice of othering people, it's called. We're like, no, you're the gross people. We're going to, that is exactly the same pattern of behavior that started in the, late 20s, early 30s in Germany, for example, or in, in many other countries, this kind of stuff would happen. This is what you do. And you also want to disarm those people and make sure they can't defend themselves. And you want to make sure they can't speak ever. Free speech has got to go as well. Like all of the same, markers are lining up here. It's like, we took an exit off the highway and it says, Soviet Union, 98 kilometers. Like, I don't want to go there. Like, unless there's a pit stop or there's another exit, I'm not, there's something changes. That's where we're going, guys. It's just where we're going.
So what do you expect to happen? So 2022, I always like to, like, even in like last year, I always found that 2022 is going to be the pivotal year. This is going to be either the year that everybody wakes up and the Lions are like, fuck this, we're not going to do this anymore. Or there's just like too many simpletons, like you said, and everybody bows down and everybody just kind of keeps doing what they're doing because they're too scared to speak or they're too scared to do this. Where do you see 2022 going?
I think it's either going to end. Well, I don't think it's going to end this year. This could very well carry on for another decade, but I would be very surprised, and I got to be careful what I say because for reasons people are on to me, I'm not suggesting anyone go do anything. I'm just saying as an observation, I would be very surprised if we make it to the end of this year without violence. Because the things that they just start by taking things from people. And eventually, once you've taken everything that, there's nothing left to take, and then they still keep trying to, like, why not? You got nothing to lose now. People are going to snap, and they're coming after the kids now. They're going to tax, they're going to take away your job and then tax you on top of that. Like, this can't go on like this. There's a large amount of, there's millions of people in this country that feel the same way I do. Like, I'm just simply not doing it, man. And I don't know what you think, but I'm not doing it. I'm not playing ball. And not just here either. Like, there's all kinds of civil unrest in Europe, and it's getting squirrely. It's getting a little weird, and they can't, if they continue down the path they're going, they're going to give people no choice. It's just going to end up as I don't want to live like this.
I truly believe.
Where do you go from there?
I don't think we escape this without some kind of bloodshed.
I don't think so.
No, I don't.
It's possible. It's also possible that nothing happens and they just like too many people cave in and the minority is just too small and powerless, and then it just is a decade of, like the 30s in Germany. Life just gets harder and harder and harder for you until it's like, right? Until
until the other countries start to step up and start stepping into those countries.
We've got massive problems with like the debt. We have a debt crisis right now. They're acting as though everything's fine, and it's if I was in charge, if I was the financial minister or anything, I would see this and go, holy shit, what are we going to do? Like, I don't know what, we're screwed. We have like 375% debt to income right now, which is like, like I think they said the average, like we're screwed. You know, like hyperinflation is almost locked in as a mathematical certainty. So you've got job losses, and that's going to crush everything. They're trying to destroy the energy industry. They're sending it. What did Stephen Gilboa says? We want to have no carbon, you know, nothing by like next year. I'm like, what planet are you on, man? But they do these things. Like, just because it's so seemingly insanely stupid doesn't mean they won't do it. Like for example, we're in a pandemic, you know, and everybody's sick and dying and all of this. So let's fire 10,000 healthcare workers. The primary, you know, reason that would be preventing this from spiraling out of control. At the same time, you know, we're at risk of that happening, but you're also destroying the very thing that would stop it from happening. That's like throwing out all the fire extinguishers when your house is on fire because the fire extinguishers aren't vaccinated. So we get rid of, like, it makes no sense. It's complete asinine. You know, they're retarded essentially. Really, and that's also frustrating to realize that we're being literally ruled over by the stupidest people alive. It's mind blowing.
We really are. We really are. Yep. What's your full on take on Biden and what's going on in the U.S. there? Because the House is ready to be divided again. It looks like the conservatives, the Republicans are going to take it. And what happens to Biden? What do you see happening? Do you see Harris taking over?
I can't believe he's still president. I thought he would be gone by now. Because he refers to Harris as president all the time. He literally pooped his pants one time on TV.
Fell asleep.
He told the Pope that he was a famous, you know, Negro baseball player, and like all just like crazy things that it's like this guy is not home, right? Yeah. Like Trump said a silly thing one time, and they tried to have him impeached because, you know, his mental faculties. And meanwhile, you literally have Grandpa Simpson walking around. Everything's fine. You know, the wind is knocking him downstairs. It's so embarrassing. It's like, come on. Like, this is, it's demoralizing, right? It's like, this is the president of the United States. This is supposed to be the guy, right? Yeah. Where he like puts his foot down when shenanigans happens. It's like, well, no, the United States is not going to stand for this. And it's like, all right, good. Thank God we got those people. And then you look down there and it's like a shriveled up, demented old man who doesn't know where he is. And he's surrounded by these vulture, like these crazy, you got like Nancy Pelosi and AOC. It's
oh my God,
the situation there too. And potentially much worse. Like, so we at least in Canada, we have basically no military or police really that would be capable of containing much, but they've got a pretty robust security forces there in the United States. And I would predict there's civil war is highly likely in that country, I would say.
Oh, I would think so, with the Democrats just being so woke and so socialistic, pushing. It's crazy. And I see the same thing happening in Canada as well. Just this, like, what happened to Alberta and all the conservatives from like halfway from Manitoba to BC? Like, what happened to all those conservatives? They all just disappeared all of a sudden?
Well, there's a lot of them still there. The cities have kind of turned into, you know, that's why they do it. You know, they focus their attention and time because that's where all the political capital is. That's where all the decisions are made. That's where all this. So that's what you want to win, and that's what they've been doing. I forget what I was going to say. What was the first part of what you said?
Where do the conservatives go from like Manitoba all the way to BC?
Yeah, I mean they're still there. I like it out there. I like Western Canada the most. I think I just like that culture and those people better than, you know, nothing against anybody. But I like it there. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of to what you're saying earlier with the States, and I don't think things are going to end well because the chasm that they've created between people is so big that it can't be bridged. I mean, I was talking to one of the guys the other night about, he's like, how am I, like, let's just snap our fingers, everything goes back to normal. How the hell am I supposed to sit across the dinner table from you when you tried to put me in a camp? Like, I hate you. You clearly hate me, and we're willing to, like, you should lose your job. You should be forced. We should take your kids. We should do, like, you're a crazy person. Like, we can't coexist. Like, literally. This isn't like we would like different hockey teams. This is like, you're scary to me. I don't want to be anywhere fucking near you. How, and this keeps separating. So like, how are we going to live in a, you know, and you've got ministers on TV saying some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard. Like, we're being held hostage by this dirty minority. Like, these people, something's got to be done. Like, this is where we're going. Like, man. Yeah. And also those people that are saying those things about you, give them all your guns, by the way, too. That's a great idea. Yeah. We should do that. Yeah.
Everybody should hand over their guns right now, because the second can you imagine if Canada handed all over their guns, how quick would this be over for the unvaxxed? Like, we would just be so fucked.
It wouldn't be good, because what you're on, that's what's keeping a lot of it at bay, is the fact that they can't physically force us, and they know that. They don't have the man. It's ridiculous. We have maybe 3,000 to 5,000 combat troops in the military on paper. Like that's not enough. If PEI went totally ham, that's not enough to contain PEI. So forget it. 35,000 police or something like that in the country. There's 38 million people here, man. Like you literally don't have enough people to keep Toronto, the GTA, under control if it went, sideways. So that's not really feasible. What they can do though is they can starve you, they can fine you, they can, do these kinds of things and make life as hard as possible.
Why do you think they're hitting it in Quebec first? Why do you think it's Quebec first and nowhere else where they're bringing in that vax tax?
They've been harsh the whole time. Like they had a curfew, and they had a curfew again. No one else did that. Like they've gotten some of the more extreme things. That could just be that health minister is particularly insane, or Francois Legault, or is a little more insane. That I don't know why that. I mean, in Alberta and Saskatchewan, they did the opposite. So we're absolutely not doing that. We're not taxing anybody. We're not making it mandatory. There's provincial laws put in place. Kenny did one, and Saskatchewan, Scott Mose had one the whole time where you can't mandate that you must take this vaccine or else like you can't make it law in those places. Meanwhile, in other parts of the countries, they're protesting to make that the law. It's, we're a very divided country, and it's like, listen, man, like it's not, and that's my whole thing. It's like, you do what you want to do. All right. You want to live. I don't care, but you can't force me to participate in whatever it is you want to do. And as soon as you try and force me, then we've got a serious problem. All right,
Yeah, so they can't force you, and I actually read an article today, which is gonna it blew my mind. So this is from a company, and the company says, what do you do if you're hiring or you have an employee and you want to implement a COVID vaccine mandate? And the first sentence says, well, according to our Charter of Rights, it's against the law for you to ask for any medical information. Yep. Literally, the paragraph underneath says, but if you're going to ask, this is how you're going to do it. It's like, what? Like
teaching them how to break the law. Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely mind blowing. I did want to ask you a few questions too. So for a while there was a lot of turmoil in the freedom fighters, the whole Kellyanne and the Chris guy, and then all of that shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I saw your interview with Chris, and I have to say, I side with you a million times.
I wouldn't
So do I.
That's my producer, by the way.
Okay. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, I wouldn't call it an interview so much as I don't know what you would call it. I just kind of let it happen. It was like pushing a flaming shopping cart down a cliff full of explosives just to see how big it would, well, let's just watch. Yeah, so I was making fun of him because it's what I do to all kinds of people. He didn't like it.
I thought it was hilarious.
Someone posted it on TikTok or something, and he saw it, and he was like, I had the sunglasses on. It was just the only reason we even have a country is because of me, and all of this shit, because he's, he has to know. Somebody has to tell him, right? And I felt like, well, somebody's got to say something, because so what happened was I said that, and then he came in and was doing all kinds of this. I was like, all right, come in and explain. It was after the Canada Day thing, which is, I didn't have a huge problem. Like I would hang out with the guy, but I, seemed as though his heart was in the right place, kind of a thing. And then it clearly, the way he conducted himself that day, I was like, ooh, that's not good. Not a fan of that. That's good. That's very toxic attitude, and the behavior, and that is going to cause all kinds of problems, and you're going to drive everybody against. It's going to be all kinds of infighting and that's exactly what happened. But at the time, I tried to say that to him, like, Chris, you could have listened. You should have just done this. Like, they didn't invite him. He insists they did, and then he had a fake email with, like, I know all the organizers, right? They invited me to go. I know all of them, and I asked all of them individually, unbeknownst to the rest of them. Did you guys invite him? No one, not a single person said they invited him. So he tried to force his way in, make it about him, and it's like, there's all these other people here. There's all these like nurses and people with like witnesses, like things that are important things to say, and you made it about you. Like, I was like, you should have just respectfully said, okay, no problem. You could have went across the road and did your own thing over there, and it would have been fun, but you didn't. And that's like, is this about you, Chris Sky, or is this about the country, man? And he just rather wanted to dig a hole and insist that Rob Carbone wasn't a politician, and he never said he owned the Bank of Canada, which he did, and other crazy things. It was just, I had to cut him off. It was just, I think he talked for like 17 straight minutes uninterrupted, and I just kind of tried to stay awake. But
yeah, didn't you like just boot him off the show?
I've never done that before, but I was like, this is never, I can't, the point was made.
It was the best part of the show, man. It was the best part. I watch it constantly. When I'm having a bad day, I need something to laugh at. Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
funny.
that was a brilliant moment. But you do hit
He's
it on
like,
the head where-
he's gonna show up now again, because if you say he's like Beetlejuice. If you say his name a couple of times, he's there. It always happens. He shows up in my Instagram feed, and I'm like, I just ignore him. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
he just
because he's got a hate on for a couple people for sure, and but like
Yeah.
that was always kind of the biggest thing. Is like it's not about a specific person, and it's not about me. It's about our
Right.
country, and it's about we just happen to be vocal on a microphone, and people just happen to listen. So
Yep.
and that's always like where the ego has to check, right? Because it isn't about him. And I temporarily go on, or sometimes just go on his Telegram, and it's just like, I told you, and I did this. And,
just like I said. And it's like, buddy, I've never heard him say anything that I didn't hear 5 years ago. You know, on Alex Jones or from David. Like this idea of like all the things that he's like some kind of prophet person. This is all in the conspiracy world, which I've been in for like 10 years, right? I've been onto this shit for a long time, and it's the Corona has been like the Super Bowl for us. It's like, yeah, it's on. Let's go. Now we can. And he's acting like it's like, buddy, this is all, we all knew this. Like the only people that are like, oh my God, he's like some kind of, they're also like brand new, and they had no idea anything was wrong with the world. And he's like explaining it to, so from their vantage point and perspective, it seems as though, but I mean, I've heard all of this before, and it's just really self-serving.